slick software, maybe you'll rank.
You got the dealer refresh push on your incredibly slick software ranking now, Herb.
Correct.
All right, we'll get to work on that.
Yeah, we'll have to add some comments in the posts that are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not ranking yet. So,
Well, how long has the site been up now, Herb?
Like a week.
Yeah.
But I think we're ranking for VIN ads or VIN specific
oh yeah,
ads, something like that. Yeah.
What do you want to rank for?
I mean, I'd start with that because that's part of the tool, although there's more components to it. But eventually, like, somebody searches for like Google ads or Facebook ads for automotive, things like that, or vendor management for automotive.
Yeah.
those
That
are
one
tough.
would be easier. Vendor accountability. You know, what would probably be even better for you is if you put actual vendor names.
Yeah, we have a ticker at the bottom that has all the channels that we syndicate and or push advertisement to, but that's a good call. Huh.
Yeah, so it's like
We should probably
Auto
write them.
Trader accountability.
Yeah.
Yep. Stuff like that. Auto Trader management. Yeah, those would be some easy ones to
get for sure.
Yeah. When you get your cease and desist letters, just this show.
I'll text you guys. Be like, thanks for the tip, guys.
We're familiar with those letters.
Yeah.
Mostly because of Alex.
Hey man, if you're not pushing things, you're not doing it right.
You're not doing it right. I agree.
I think we've probably at least 3 from Auto Trader alone at one point in the past.
Oh wow.
Here, 3 seconds,
actually,
guys.
Yeah, 2 from Auto Trader. Then Alex probably contributed to the other 2 from Digital Dealer and got kicked out of that. I drove down to Baltimore. They were having sort of a mini conference, and Mike Roscoe was there. And as I'm slowly, as I'm lining up to get into the conference room, I was told to they'd appreciate it if I didn't enter the room. Yeah, good stuff.
Speaking of Roscoe, we might be at a point now where few people even know who he is.
Yeah, it's been, only people that's been in the business for quite some time would probably remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll never forget.
Well,
He's probably out there. Probably joined some Rasta reggae band.
Oh, I just didn't mention Papa Mike there.
Yep.
Well, Herb, last time you were on was, I think, November 3rd of last year.
Oh, wow. It's been that long.
I was shocked, too, to see that.
Huh.
Yep. And last time, we weren't talking about this. You hadn't built it yet.
That's right. We had we had some beginnings of it. We were in the beginnings of it, but we weren't ready as we are now.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of work.
Well, I think we're going to find that out over the next hour.
Yes.
I am actually very excited to see Jeff's reaction.
Mhm.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. What if he sees it and he's like, nah? I'd be like,
Oh,
dude.
I'll keep that to myself.
Well, here's the funny thing, and I think there's a few people who will be in the audience who will be able to relate to this. There was an analytics that then turned into an advertising company called Driven Data. We did a lot with them at Dealer Refresh. They ended up being acquired by Poly. So now they're in the insurance advertising game, not really doing it for dealers so much anymore. But their product was really solid in terms of what kind of insights you could get out of your dealership based on the data your store was producing, whether from your CRM, your inventory, your DMS, and whatnot. But man, did it require some form of degree from the College of Driven Data to understand how to work that dashboard. It was complicated.
But effective or just complicated?
Well, I think most dealers, and Jeff, I believe you were a client of theirs, would just wait for the call from the account manager who'd say, "Hey, check this out."
I was pretty active in it. I enjoyed the dashboard and all the information and data that you were able to get. It was a little cumbersome, but it was pretty solid data.
Yeah, I think that's one of the areas in the industry that, I love seeing just because I'm very analytical, and that we're definitely in a place now where it's all about the data, like for
Yeah.
real. Like every dealership, that's all they're interested in looking at. So it's really cool to see. But then there comes some issues with that, like which data now is the data that we want to focus on and which data we shouldn't be paying any attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you didn't just build a decent to look at product that's easy to understand. You sort of made the heart of it, inventory, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we wanted it to have some sort of a easier visual appeal because there is a lot in the tool, and sometimes that could be not a good thing when there's so many different things and levels to something. So we at least wanted the visuals to be very simple. So hopefully we've been able to achieve that, but there is a lot of stuff in there too. So
there is, and we'll have to look at it before time's up here. Definitely get in there and run around. I just wanted to sort of put your brilliance here as people are listening to us talk out there before we look at the tool. At least this is my opinion here, in that we have had this crazy phase of CDPs, customer data platforms, that are supposed to overlie the DMS and the CRM and tell us, what our customers are doing and how better to market to them. And one of the things that occurred to me during all the craze and all the articles and everything that's going on about them is, the marketing guy in the dealership, does think about customers and people and whatnot, but the sales floor is more about the cars. The car guys, they speak cars, and we all know that if you get the right inventory mix, you have the right car, the customers will come.
mm-hmm.
And
For
that's
sure.
one of the things that I like about what you did, is you made it vehicle centric instead of customer centric. And I think that's, from what I've seen, I believe that's a better approach than going down the CDP path.
Well, my frustration that led to that is that as a rep, when I worked for Cox Automotive, it's always about you walk in there with your VDP numbers and everything's great, and the dealership isn't thrilled, right? They're like, well, yeah, I got all these VDP views, but I didn't sell any more cars. Well, but there's two sides to that. On the one hand, they're right in the fact that when we really dig and look at the data, all the vehicles that are being saved, all the vehicles that are generating leads, and all those things are typically the same cars across the board, meaning your website, other endemics, even on your SEM strategies and things of that nature, because those are the vehicles that have search volume. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you tie that to the car, then you can show like, hey, listen, but yeah, okay, maybe you're right, but the car's still here, number one. And number two, I can show you all the opportunities that this car has generated. And oh, by the way, you haven't sold it. So what's the point of having a car that has all this digital activity and it's still on your lot? Right. And then then the vendor or the provider, or the consultant, whatever, is the bad guy. Oh, the marketing isn't working. But I can show you that it's working. Right. Like, so I wanted to be able to do that with this product, is to really show the person, the decision maker, whoever's looking at it, whoever's engaging with it, that, hey, the marketing is driving the activity that it's supposed to drive, but marketing isn't going to sell the car for you. Right. So that was an element that we wanted to have in the tool to be able to have that conversation and do it at a per car basis. So,
well, you want to show people what it looks like?
Yeah, sure.
So works. Yeah.
We go share screen, I assume.
Yep.
Okay. So before we get into it, let me just start with kind of giving the background here. So work for Auto Trader and Cox Automotive. Like I said, with walking into meetings, hey, you have all these VDP views, not selling any more cars. And so that was really frustrating. And that's what kind of got me in this journey. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to tie all these elements of vendors, tie it to the car. But then at the end of the day, any information that you have is only good, as, in my opinion, as far as what you can do with it. And so the third level of the tool is that it gives you actual opportunities to do something about it, right? And using the data to do so. So understanding that, can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
So there's three levels, right? First level is, let's get all your vendor information in one place. Oh, wow, look, you guys are number one here. Let's get all your vendor information into one place. So here's all your vendors. We can tie it to cost so that you can see what your cost per lead is in relationship to the previous month. We can see your cost per sale. We can see how you're comparing month over month. We can see if you're up on leads or down on leads. The other thing we wanted to do is we wanted to add some quality of life items to this. So make it really easy for you to, know who your rep is. So if you want to know who your rep is, or somebody leaves a store or something, you got that information stored in here. You can quickly navigate to the portals of the people that or of the vendors that you're trying to, get information from. We have all your UTMs in here, so it makes it really easy for you to send these over and make sure that if you're driving views and things to the websites, that information is correct or trackable. You can downgrade, upgrade, and store everything here. And the cool thing is that all this information gets stored. So if you cancel a vendor, for instance, you can always go back and pull that information from your canceled vendor list. I mean, we all know how vendors or dealers come on and off of vendors all the time. Now we have a place for you to store all that information so that you can do your analysis if you're thinking about bringing a vendor back. So
I had no idea that Frickin' Tech was sitting at number one, for the record.
Yeah, it's right there. It's up a lot, actually, in relationship to last month. So that's pretty good.
Lucky day.
Very nice.
So that's the first element, right? So vendor organization, vendor information, all stored in one place to make it really accessible and easy. And then, let's tie it to some what you're spending so you can see your real return on investment. So now that we have this information, the next level is, okay, let's connect this to the vehicle, right? Let's show the decision makers at the dealership what the vehicle, what all that activity means. So here we call it the manager's SRP because we envisioned it being like an SRP on a website, but with information that is pertinent to a decision maker at a dealership and not a customer. So we have your stock number, VIN number, mileage, listed price. we could tell you your age. So this is when the vehicle came into the system, but this vehicle has only had photos for 14 days. So we show that because sometimes you run these age reports, but some of these vehicles haven't really had a chance to really sell. We could tell you your VDP views. So this vehicle has 153 views. If you click in here, it'll tell you where these views are coming from. So Organic, Us, Pure Cars, and Auto Trader are the providers of views. You can see all your information in the system. So here, this vehicle has six leads. You could see all the activity. So this is the perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. Here's a lead that came on the 30th, no follow-up. Here's a lead that came on the 21. We followed up one day and haven't done anything since. Lead came in on the 17th, nothing. Lead came in on the 15th, we called it for one day and nothing else. Lead came in on the 11th, we called it for one day, nothing. Lead came in, we did nothing. So if, is it really that we're not doing what we're supposed to do, or is it that we're not really handling those opportunities well? And then here you can see all the different things that drove either leads or appointments.
By the way, I'm laughing at a comment from Drew Ament. He says, "I've seen enough. Take my money."
So we also give you the information of the people that have viewed the car. So we get their email. We can tell you where they're coming from. We can tell you if they looked at it multiple times. Let's find one that has a little bit more views. Like here, for instance, if we can match it to DMS records, right? So this person has a DMS record they've never bought, but they obviously have serviced there at the dealership. They've looked at this vehicle twice. So we collect all this information, and then you can export this information and upload it into your Facebook audiences or your Google audiences, because it may not seem like a lot for one car, but if you do it for all your inventory, there's a lot of information there. And then that helps you with retargeting. We also, in the future, we want to take some action steps here to email people and, get that, do things other than just the digital side. That's what we're currently doing. The other thing that we have here is we created a filter. So, how you in the dealership, you always want to filter by aged units or vehicles with no photos or things of that nature, or vehicles that have leads or vehicles that don't have leads. Well, here you can set your presets however you want, whatever way you want to filter by. You can just create your kind of your filter. And, let's say I want used units that are, 40 days or older, that have leads. Yes. And just hit apply, or you can create a separate filter and save it. And here are all the vehicles that have leads. And then you can also go in here and say, hey, I want to sort these by the highest to lowest impact. So you go here, leads high to low.
What is, the most leads? Is that what that means?
Yeah. So okay. You can start with the vehicles that have the most leads all the way down to the vehicles that have the least amount of leads. And then you can click this and export this into a file. If you want to give it to your BDC department, hey, if somebody calls on this car, or you want to, hey, call these people, or you want to do a mailer or whatever, right? So you can kind of slice and dice this however you want. Yeah. The other thing too is you can save this filter. Like, let's say you wanted to save this, right? You say, hey, I want to save this as a used test 1. And you say, hey, I'm going to save this filter. So now it's a saved filter, and then you can propagate this feed. So you can send this feed to whoever. You can send it to Auto Trader. You can send it to Google, whoever, to run additional campaigns on this. So, and we propagate in different formats too. So you can do FTP or HTTP.
Oh, that's smart.
And so you can, type in, like, slice and dice this however you want. The other thing, I added because of my consulting background. like when you're walking in and you're talking about activity, well, there's one thing to say, hey, you got 61,000 VDP views and 637 leads and 124 appointments. But where's your listed price at? Like, are you in the market, outside of the market? How many photos do you have? How long does it take you to get your vehicles merchandised? Right? I mean, 17 or 18 days is a really long time. How many vehicles do you have that have problems? No photos, exterior color isn't listed. The evaluation is an internal metric, but scarcity is in here. Let's see. This is a big one that we use for ads, right? Or to create ads. So if you're going to run like Google ads, for instance, why focus on the onesie twosies? Just focus on the vehicles that have, or the cars that you have a bunch of, and then mitigate your waste. Same thing if you're running like VLA campaigns and things of that nature. So we put all this extra information in here to just be able to talk about specifics and not just look at the marketing numbers. The other thing is, so we have AI in the system. So it's machine learning algorithms that ingest this information. And the next level of this is actually being able to run ads on the cars. But you could see here that the system is optimizing for different platforms. So this car is optimized for Amazon. This one's for Meta. This one's for Google. Here's Amazon, Google. So as the vehicle comes in, the system's going to scan it. And it's going to say, okay, this vehicle has a likelihood of sitting on your lot longer because it's not going to get the needed exposure. And so that's where we go into level 3, where the AI is going to take this information and it's going to generate ads on your behalf. And the way that we have our ad system created is we have them in low, medium, and high spend categories. So there's some cars that are going to need a lot more love than others. And so we want to make sure that we price these accordingly. And we have these tiers set up accordingly so that you're getting the maximum exposure. And this isn't going to be on all your vehicles. It's only going to be on the vehicles that are not organically doing well. Because if a car is organically doing well, meaning it's getting leads, it has views, but why are you going to spend marketing dollars on that car? It makes no sense. It's already doing well. People are searching for that car, finding that car. So only run the ads on the cars that need ads to be run on. And overall, you're going to be in a better spot. I mean, so far this month, we've gotten 688,000 impressions, 31 clicks. 8 of those underperforming vehicles are gone. Cost per click here is 86 cents. Cost per impression is way, way low, and a CPS of 343.66. So we also do snapshot reporting. So we show you, hey, the impact of the advertising, right? So this way you can see all the impact of this advertising is doing. I mean, this car had 110 views, 4 leads. We drove 210 views. It went to 381 and got 12 leads, so 8 extra leads and 2 extra appointments. Car's gone.
Oh, is that what the arrows mean there? It's like that's what the advertising did above and beyond.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
We show you the impact of what happened after you started running ads on this vehicle. So the algorithm is built on the common stuff that we have in the automotive industry, like, color, trim, year, all that stuff. But we also give the dealership the ability to calibrate it themselves. So if there's a dealership that prioritize views and leads, then I don't want to mess that up. then you can just calibrate it yourself. If age is something that's really important to you, then you can calibrate it yourself. So yes, it's going to take into consideration trim, color, and all that stuff, but it's also now, because you said, hey, age is really important to me, I'm going to put a little bit more focus on aged units, because at the end of the day, you only have a certain amount of dollars to spread on the car. So you want to make sure that those dollars are spread evenly, or as evenly as possible, especially considering all the different platforms, because we run ads on Google, Facebook, Amazon, TikTok, Snapchat. So we're pushing these ads on a lot of different platforms. Now, the other thing that we do here that's really cool is in my opinion, is you come in here and you can build your own filters. So you can go in here and say, hey, I want, used vehicles that are frontline, let's say certified instead of view, so there's less. So, and then you search one test. The store's going to hate me because I'm creating all these different filters for them. Cert one test. So here it tells you, hey, you have 33 of those vehicles. Okay, great. I want to spend $20 a car, and then I want to increment that weekly by $5. So, and I want to reset this monthly, and I want to run this on Google and Facebook only, and I want to set these parameters to run in these grayed out areas, which is where I don't have sales. Or you can say I only want to run it where I do have sales, right? So, and then you can set your parameters here, which I won't do because I don't want to create these, but you can set them yourselves, and then you save, and it creates a custom campaign for you, and it runs these.
That's slick.
So going back to over here, the other thing that you could also do, well, actually, let me go into the dashboard. So then we've created a dashboard, and we've compiled all this information into one view for you, so that you can digest it all. You can log in here, and you can digest it all in one comprehensive view. So here's everything that let's go to a specific store. So here's everything that you have on one view, right? So here's 164 vehicles that are fully merchandised, 124 new, 25 used, 15 certified. Out of those, 13 are on brand. 105 of those vehicles already have leads. 27 of those have appointments. You have 43 vehicles with problems. You have 124 vehicles with warnings. You have 77 aged units. You can see
what would be a problem and what would be a warning.
So a problem would be it's missing photos, so it's missing trim, or it's missing description. And a warning is the system is warning you, hey, this vehicle is pacing below for the age, and nothing's happening. It's not getting leads or appointments. You either, if you haven't boosted it or if you haven't created a campaign, go ahead and do that. And if you have, then look at the price, look at other metrics, because it's getting activity, but it's not converting.
Could you set that to happen automatically? When a vehicle hits a certain age and it doesn't have X, Y, or Z going for it, automatically create an ad?
It already does that. The system already does that. But the system also will say, hey, after a certain threshold, like let's say, I think our benchmark is 280 views. So after 280 unique views, the system's going to start to taper down unless you override the system and you're like, hey, I want to spend, and I want to continue to spend on forever. But that's the reason why one of the reasons why I wanted to build the tool is because we want to solve some of our problems with money and advertising, and it's not advertising. At that point, the car has ample exposure. It's merchandised properly. You have all the elements to sell the car, but it's not selling. And just continuing to drive or throw money at it isn't going to get you out of the problem. So it's either the wrong car, it's priced wrong, or it smells bad, or it has a check engine light on or something, especially if it has leads and appointments and it hasn't sold.
Yeah.
Something's not right. So we also put your pipeline. So what's on your pipeline: new, used, certified. We break it down the same way. So this way you can see what you actually have available to sell, and not just what's on your website, and then want to sell all those cars because you don't have them. We give you your total views. This is a Google Analytics views month over month. So we can see here that the store is above on views. It's above on leads. Your average days to merchandise for this particular store is 12 days, 19 appointments set, 10 have shown. We tell you who your top view providers are, who your top lead providers are. Anything that's delisted, and out of those, how many of those have had CarMai impact. We give you your average, what you've spent so far in the month on marketing, and what your cost per sale is. Is it up or down in relationship to the previous month? So, and then we obviously put a forecasting here for pacing month over month and year over year. So however you want to look at your numbers, try to make that super easy for you to kind of get to. And then, for instance, like you could go here to these vehicles that has no leads, right? So you go here, And then you can just see the system. Like this vehicle, for instance, it's already got 324 VDP views. It's got 7 leads, no appointments, but the system has already said, hey, stop spending on this car. So this is the period that are advertising on. But in your, you could maybe say, oh, pricing thing. Okay, great. You can adjust the price, and then you can go in here and you can override, and you can say, okay, I went and I adjusted the price. Great. Let me adjust the spend. Yes, I want to confirm the override, and then it'll start running ads again on the vehicle. And then you can track that, right? You can see here, okay, so we ran ads for this period of time. Then the system said, hey, stop running ads. We got 47 views came from us. Now that we've adjusted the price, and then it'll show you if there's a spike or what happens after you turn the ads back on. But you can see here clearly this vehicle was getting a lot of organic traffic. It has leads. So why continue to spend money on that car? It doesn't make sense. Like put that money where the money belongs, because in this car, it's already. And then what I would do is I would look at these leads. It's like, hey, what's going on here? We have all this activity on the car. Were we following up? Did we call customers? When's the last time we talked to this person? And try to figure out from the information on the vehicle what the issues are.
Yeah, I like that you're showing that last contact. Very nice. And yep.
So, but that's the tool, folks. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
Well, there was one from Drew. Let me switch over here so we can show his. So he was assuming this is all automated, like no manual input once set up. And I think
yeah, it's all automated.
Yeah.
And we have different iterations. So we were in beta during the whole CDK issue. And so we have 2 versions. We have a version where we can, do the full integration, which integrates to DMS, CRM, all the different platforms, Google, Facebook, all that stuff. Or we can also do a watered down version that doesn't require us to have DMS access, because we have multiple points of checking this, right? Because our whole point is accuracy. So we plug into the DMS and the CRM, but we also have ADF just like a CRM does. So we also we get information directly, and we also get information fed directly by your vendors and by Google Analytics. And we just want to make sure that this information is as accurate as possible. So, because without that, you can't make the decisions, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
And who was, I'm trying to remember, someone was talking about a system. It hadn't been created yet, but they were talking about switching it around, and rather than being customer focused, being vehicle focused. For some odd reason, I keep thinking that was Steve Stawning, and that was quite a while ago that we were discussing something like this.
Only real car people come up with ideas like that, Jeff.
Yeah. Interesting.
There was another question about Fortellis. Does it work with Fortellis now?
Like the system?
Yeah, is it integrated with CDK Fortellis?
No. So we don't have integration with CDK. We do most of the DMSs, but again, we have, if you do have CDK integrations, we have workarounds for that.
Okay. I got to tell you, Fortellis has been a lot of fun to integrate with lately.
Oh, yeah.
That's me being sarcastic, Jeff.
Yeah, I know
that. They just dropped a new pricing structure on things, and they sent like a bunch of screenshots of pricing and whatnot, and then you click the links to go in and see what it's really going to be. Like you had to click the link at least 5 times for it to actually work. If you clicked it the first time, it didn't work. It's just fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's still questionable what some of the pricing looks like now. But yeah. So I think that somebody like Drew, who is overseeing and consulting with a number of different dealer groups, this could be quite handy because that's a nice little rolled up view to be able to see what's going on and where to focus and what to talk about.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of my marketing meetings just from the dashboard itself. Like you can see a lot of information there. Like, you know, if your leads and your appointments are up for the month, but your sales are down, then, hey, you know, why do you think that is? What's your mix looking like? Do you have the same amount of inventory that you had the previous month? You know, how many certified units do you have? How many on brands units do you have? Like if you have, you know, 90% of your inventory is all on brand, that might be a little bit of a inventory mix problem. Or if you have significantly less units on hand than you had the previous month, well, you know, even if your pipeline is full, because, you know, even if you have cars that are not available to sell, like the tool will tell you that if you filter by, let's say you look at all your inventory and you say, hey, this is all my inventory, these are all the leads. But then you look at what's frontline ready, 90% of all that activity is coming from frontline ready vehicles. And so it's going to be a lot harder for you to move those cars, even though they're on your website. So,
right.
Now, does your system, is it able to show all the things that you were just referring to?
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay.
Because you can create you can create the different filtered views, and then you can see and contrast and compare against them.
Okay.
So
great.
And
for sure.
So there were some grades over there, and you said that the grading was relative to that specific store. What goes into setting those up?
Yeah, so the grading, we wanted to provide something that's different. Like you can have a car that comes into the system that on, you know, I don't know, what's the profit time or something like that. It's a platinum plus plus or whatever. But if it's a platinum plus plus and it's been on the tool for 60 days and it has, you know, 400 views and it's still there, my system's going to rank that as a D.
Gotcha.
Right? Because it's still there. So it's not from a marketing standpoint, it's not a platinum plus plus. It's a car that is aging, that has that has costed you a lot of marketing dollars to push and promote. And, you know, so from a marketing standpoint, I can never call that car an A car because it's still there. And then the other thing you'll notice too is when I do demos and people ask me, oh, but there's a lot of D's and C's in here. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like if you see a bunch of A's and B's in there, then that's not helping you because the A's and B's are gone. So, you know, that's why there is A's and B's, right? It's because the cars are moving quick.
Yeah.
So you want the system to show the cars that you need help moving. You don't want the system to show you the cars that are gone and did awesome. Like all your other providers are gonna claim those sales, and they're gonna tell you how awesome they are because they sold those cars for you. So that
never happens.
Yeah, of course. So that's kind of counterproductive to what we're trying to do. We're really just trying to highlight the cars that we know are sitting there, and either they're getting a lot of activity and the activity is being mishandled, or they're not getting enough activity. And so you need to boost them. You need to push them out into all these different platforms to create interest and demand. The other thing that we've noticed is we've benchmarked this with a couple of stores where we kind of do a comparison of like CTR and all these things on their ads prior to launching. And then when we launch, after about 30 or 60 day period, we could see the increase in conversions because these cars are low search volume vehicles, right? And if you're pushing them on all these different platforms and you're going to Google and Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok and where people are spending their time and they're seeing these vehicles, they're considering these cars now because they're probably weren't even thinking about that brand or that specific model. And then they see it and they're like, oh, this is kind of a cool car. And the price is kind of cool. Let me click and go get some more information. And then they get a Google search ad, or they get an AIA or something like that. And then now they're like clicking and seeing more, they're more apt to click on those things because now they've been exposed to that inventory that it wasn't even a thought for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the people I was hoping would be watching today just showed up. That's Ryan Everson. We might have to put some more of your product up on the screen again, or because I think that'll drive some more questions from Ryan. But his first one here is, are you using this to create individual ads per VIN, or are they still dynamic ads with just segmented catalogs / product sales?
So we do it. So I just want to emphasize a couple of things. So it's not just, yes, it does VIN specific ads, but you can run your VLAs from here. You can run search ads from here as well. But the system is only going to focus on creating ads for what's considered underperforming units. And for example, if you're going to run your search ads, like our search ads have the snippets and all the things to, rank better, but it's only going to run them on cars that are aging and that you have a lot of. So for the search ad component, you have to have 10 or more vehicles in order for the search ad component to trigger. And then VLAs you can create based on customization. So you could say, hey, I have all these Nissan Pathfinders that I need to move, and then you can create a custom channel campaign, and then you can set it up to create a VLA for you, for instance. So that's the way that we do it for those. The automation, and it's automated to the point where you don't have to go to Google on the back end and set it up. You can just do it straight from the portal. But the AI that's getting picked up and stuff, it's VIN specific.
And this is this filtered right now for the
oops,
there you go, get you out there, for the most problematic vehicles?
Yeah, so you can set your filters. So you can go in here and you can say, hey, I want to filter by best to worst or worst to best. Just depends on how you want to view it. The way that we do a default is just at random. A couple different reasons. One is, we want to make sure that you're not honed in on one specific area because you could be missing a totally different element. And two is we want you to create your own campaigns, your own search filters, so that it just makes it easier for you to navigate because there is a lot of information in here. And so we just want to make sure that you can easily just create all your different filters, and you could just go click a button and it'll take you straight to that specific filter.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's slick.
And then Ryan, you came on late, so you missed the vendor management or vendor accountability, as I like to call it, portion.
So that's here.
Which I know where you're sitting would probably appreciate. Yeah, do you mind running us through the top again, Herb, of this one?
Yeah, so here we collect all your information for your vendors, right? So your, who they are and all that stuff, and then we tie it to expenses. So you have your cost, and we kind of filter it down by day, so that you can see what you're spending, and then we tie it to your vehicle sales, so we can give you a cost per sale based on your expenses. We tell you if you're up or down month over month. We tell you how many leads those specific vendors have driven to your, or not leads, but views have driven to your website. We could see if you could see your cost per lead on each one of these individual providers. And then we have some information in here, like we call quality of life. Like we have your vendor rep information here, so it makes it accessible and easy. And if people leave the dealership or whatever, you know who that person is, so you can contact them. We link you straight to the portal, so you can, pull your reports. You can compare against other vendors. So if you wanted to compare Run My Lease against someone else, like you could go and say, hey, how are we doing in relationship to Auto Trader? Well, I got 22 versus 5. they're projected to deliver 92 leads, and Auto Trader's projected to deliver 21 this month. So, if you're having, some comparative conversations, you can show that. And then you can
that
go
could be
into
nice and scary in the hands of an uneducated general manager.
we put your UTM codes and things here, or tags rather, so you can, make sure that everything's clean in your GA accounts. It just makes it easier for you to view.
And yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. So we also track your all your scripts,
Smart.
pixels, and things of that nature. So if anything falls off, you don't have to wait a month to find out. You can just, if it turns red, something's up, and you can figure out what's, something's not working the way that it should, or it's not tagged properly.
Man, we could use that with dealer refresh.
And so you can.
That'd be a mess. Especially with, I was going through some older posts, probably, I don't know, 14, 15 plus years old, and a lot of dead links.
Yeah.
Tons. So, I don't know. Does that still work against you in SEO?
What, broken links?
Yeah.
Well, if they take you to like a broken page or something like that, I would think so.
I would think so as well.
But if something isn't firing, I don't know.
I'll ask my wife, Jess. She'll know.
Yeah.
She's an SEO expert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like to have an answer to that. Just wondering, like, what type of weight that has on it.
All right.
Especially if, the search engines know that, I'm sure they do, how old that post or how old that discussion is. Is it 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old? And wondering, what type of weight gets thrown behind that.
That's your next project, or
SEO
dashboard, and
SEO dashboard.
Highly recommend not doing that.
Yeah. I do like this layout. This is probably one of the nicer sort of what would you call it? Sort of like a bird's eye view of all the numbers, just formatted nice. Like you say, you could pull this out and just have your meetings with this.
Yeah, I do. Like, it makes it so easy to have those conversations, for sure.
So when you're pulling all this data, because like you said earlier, if you don't have access to the DMS, quite often that's fine, because you're pulling from so many different sources that 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to grab it from maybe 1 or 2 of the other sources if you don't have that access to the DMS.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's workarounds and things that you could do, like, for example, if we're doing a CRM integration, like I said, we have ADF set up, so we are ingesting everything just like the CRM would, but we also can get, do like CloudStor integrations and things like that, or we are added as a user as well to the CRM, so we can extract information that way. So we try to have a lot of different touch points with the data, because obviously we want to make sure that we're, when you're providing stuff like this is where it gets a little bit dangerous, right? Because when you're providing information, like back to the manager's SRP, if I'm talking to a GM and I'm like, and we're having the conversation about advertising, and I can tell them, like, here, let's find a car that has a lot of appointments, for instance. So if I'm having a conversation with a GM and I'm like, hey, like, you got 14 appointments on this vehicle. And not only do you have 14 appointments, but let's count how many of those showed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, need I say more? Right?
Yeah.
So, but if this is not correct, then now I created a big problem, because he's going to call somebody and be like, what the hell? And, so we've it's taken us a really long time to, I mean, we've been developing this for a couple of years, but the whole point here is that information needs to be spot on. So we're not just relying on ADF. We're also looking at the CRM, and we're layering data on top of data for accuracy.
Makes sense.
We got another question from Ryan. He says, I like it. For the VIN ads, are you taking things like price to market into account, increasing spend on quote unquote bad deal vehicles and decreasing spend on great deals that will sell themselves?
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. So the whole point here is to the good cars that are organically doing well, that are organically getting activity and all that stuff. We don't touch those cars at all. We want those to not, you shouldn't be spending a single dollar on advertising with those vehicles, especially not on our platform, especially. So we make sure that that's part of the system. As a matter of fact, if you go into, I think I didn't cover this part, but the other thing that we do is we obviously don't promote anything that isn't fully merchandised. So right here, there's a breakdown right here. So these vehicles they're in the no spend category. So this is a compilation of, has stock images, no photos, those sorts of things, and also your A and B cars that are doing well. Now, here's the other thing. I've had stores that we've done demos with, and they're like, yeah, I want all my cars on this. And I always caution them against that, because think about it. Let's say that you start them on today and you're going to do what you're going to do. You have good cars and you have some cars that are not going to get enough exposure. Well, if you put money into all the cars, you're back to the same problem. Your good cars are siphoning traffic away from your cars that need help. So that doesn't help you. What helps you is putting the cars or money on the cars that are going to not perform well. They're not going to get that digital exposure. And now you're raising the bar on exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So we got another question from Drew. He's asking, are you an information or an advertising platform? And you can say yes.
Yes.
That's a good question. I haven't looked at us like that. I mean, in essence, I think we are a little bit of both, right? We run ads on the cars that need the ads, and we also try to provide the information so that you can see what your activity is generating for you. But the problem really that I wanted to solve when we started building this is I wanted to give dealerships the control to do something about the cars that need the help. The cars that when I was an Auto Trader rep and I'd walk in there and the manager would say like, yeah, dude, I got 5,000 VDP views, but I have this chunk of cars here that are not selling. Help me sell those cars. And there's nothing that I could do, right? I'm like, okay, they're on there. We spotlighted them, but that's about it.
Spotlight them.
Yeah. So that's really, that's what I have envisioned ourselves. But yeah, I mean, I think we're a little bit of both. I think we're obviously doing advertising and we're providing information.
It's a good answer.
Yeah, you got the foundations to go much further than that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's other iterations and things that we want to build to this for sure in 2.0 version.
Oh, that was my next question was, where do you see this, a year from now, 2 years from now? What's your ultimate goal?
Well, I want to hold true to the name, right? And be the unified marketing platform, right? Where it's not just the cars and pushing ads, but being able to do emails and OTT and ingest all your information, like your, all your videos and all that stuff, and house all that on a per car basis for you in one platform.
I like it.
So.
Yeah. And this is fresh off the press. Like you are now in the market. So
yes. Yeah,
it's got to be exciting, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're ready to
got
roll.
A team of salespeople behind you.
Yeah, we have a good system, a good setup right now. So it's been a lot of work, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, but we've been, I think we got it all dialed in now.
And Herb, if anybody wanted to check this out in more detail or talk to you further, would they go to your website? Can they reach out to you on some social media? Where can they go?
Yeah. You could go to karumai.com. So Karumai stands for Car Unified Marketing AI. And then just go to the website. You can schedule a demo there, or you can call me directly on my cell phone, 702-526-0900, 702-526-0900. Text me or call me. You can DM me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, and we'll get you set up.
Yeah, and are you looking for any more testers or dealerships that could help grow the product?
Yeah, especially in the early stages of anything, having people on there that are willing to provide feedback and that are engaged, that's for sure great. So I'm open to any and all of those.
Nice. Yeah, you're definitely in front of some pretty smart people over there right now. I mean, Drew Ament and Ryan Everson are two of the brightest I know. So
that's awesome. Yeah, if you guys want to help me out, hit me up.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll be sure to get your. I know I added a link too because I was struggling with the URL earlier. It's like, what? Spell it out here for me. And of course, now it's spelled out. I'm like, well, how stupid am I? But but I'll be sure to get those links and everything over into the post that was promoting this podcast. I added it to the main body, but I'll go down below and add some more information. I'll keep your phone number out of there, but I'll be sure that anyone has a direct path for a direct message.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. No, this is like I said, I wish I could remember who we spoke to, Alex, about, a solution, something like this, rather than focusing on the customer, let's focus on the car and how much further, if done correctly, how much further that could get you. So maybe I'll have a dream tonight and it'll all come back to me.
I mean, it's that simple formula. If you have the inventory, the customers will come. That's where I always struggled with the CDPs. It's like, you're not. I mean, you are growing customers in some way, but that's just not how sales floors operate. That's not how car guys think. Yeah.
Nope.
Inventory first. Yep.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
But it's not just looking at the inventory that's on your website and being like, well, I have 200 cars on my website. I should sell 200 cars this month. It's understanding that you have 200 cars on your website, but how many of those are actually available to sell? Because that's where all your activity is going to come from. And then, shortening that time to get the rest. I mean, I know that this is like everybody talks about, this is common knowledge, and I'm not, this isn't earth-shattering information, but it's just when I was consulting full time, like that's what I would run into the most is like, yeah, I want to sell more cars. Of course, I know, but what's the number? Well, I have 200 cars on the website. I want to sell 200 cars. Yeah, but they're all not ready to sell, man. Like it's just, you put all the cars on your website. So, but that's
Yep.
I think that's the part where, and I get it. Of course, we want to sell more cars, but
this also continues to highlight the importance, and going back to Uncle Joe, is merchandise.
For sure. I mean, inventory to number one, and then making sure the car is ready. Merchandise, obviously priced right, all those things, and if all those things are connected and 100% rolling, then now comes into marketing and people and processes and everything else. But those are the two first things.
Yep, it's the starting point
for sure.
Man, this is great. I'm excited to see where you take this.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for the opportunity and letting me talk about it, and hopefully there's some stuff in there for some folks that they could potentially use.
For sure.
Well, thanks for being innovative. Yeah, that's
Yeah, we don't see too much of that
love
anymore.
a dealer refresh. Yeah.
No
Well,
doubt.
All right. Well, everybody.
right.
Yeah,
We'll
make it a
next
great
week.
weekend.
All righty.